Okay. All right. Your mics aren't on, but all right, here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah, go live. Yo, Sharik.
What up, JP?
I
Okay.
how you doing?
I'm good. I'm amazing.
Okay, so there's been an imposter in my head.
Really?
You know what that's about?
Imposter syndrome?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it is. Let's talk about it.
Okay. Let's do it.
Step into the line.
Later, we
Definitely.
talk about our spotlight, imposter syndrome.
All right. We can get into it, but we have some flashlight topics for today.
Yes. Okay, so as you know, it's our flashlights, and we've got some things to share. We've got some things to talk about. So first, if we're going to talk political, let's talk about Governor Cuomo in New York, who he decided to resign.
Mhm.
According to People magazine, his direct quote is,
I'm just sad. Can I just say that?
yeah.
I'm kind of sad, but I mean, that's his prerogative.
I mean, he faced some sexual misconduct and sexual harassment cases, and so here's his statement. New York tough means New York loving, and I love New York and I love you, and everything I have ever done has been motivated by that love, and I would never want to be unhelpful in any way. And I think that given the circumstances, the best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to governing. Cuomo is 63. He said that in a press conference earlier this week. And then his resignation goes into effect 14 days from that date.
Isn't that crazy? We were just talking about cancel culture
Yeah.
and him getting potentially canceled and them wanting to resign him. I mean, I felt it was inevitable, especially when you say like the actual president of the United States is asking for you to resign.
Biden asked him to step down. Yeah.
I mean, it's really unfortunate. I honestly think in his mind, he didn't think he was doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
Like but that's the sad part. At the same token, it's like, how do we create the awareness so that people know that these certain actions, no matter how old you are, how New York you are,
right,
that these things just don't cut it anymore.
Yeah, wasn't there some quote that was like floating around saying like, I'm not a pervert, I'm just Italian?
He was going through the list of the different things that he does. He goes, oh, I kiss people on the cheek. I hold people on the elbow.
Okay.
That
was the context. I didn't know the context.
That's where all of these things that he was saying that he does. And it's just like, my guy, no. But I'm really, what's really funny to me is like CNN isn't talking about it.
Yeah.
And his brother comes on every single night. He just doesn't talk about it. I think he should.
You think so?
I think he should.
Maybe he's trying to show loyalty to his brother in some ways by staying out of it.
Yeah, that, or he's trying not to ruffle feathers and potentially lose his job and get
Right.
canceled as well.
Right. Maybe he's not saying anything on, maybe his brother asked him not to say anything. Perhaps he's like, don't get under the, the crossfire
Yeah.
that I'm in.
Yeah.
Just
Unfortunate situation all around. But
did you think he was a good governor?
I mean, I like to watch him on TV.
Yeah.
I liked his banter. I
Yeah.
thought he was, from the appearances, it looked as though he was doing a good job handling the whole COVID crisis. But then there was that other scandal when it came to the elderly, and then putting out misinformation in regards to how many deaths that there were.
Yeah.
So that was a scandal that was already brewing, and then this happened. So yeah, I think it was inevitable that he was going to go down. So.
Yeah. I mean, me, I'm not really the political guy, but I can say that, one of the most vocal figures that I saw throughout this pandemic was Governor Cuomo. And I think from, New York residents that I know, a lot of them have sided with him and felt that he was an effective leader during this time. So, just shout out to New York and how they proceed and how they move forward.
Go vote, please.
Yeah, go vote. Oh, we got to vote too. They're trying to overturn Newsom.
Right, in September.
Yeah.
For Newsom.
It's a mess. Politics are a mess.
That's why we're creative.
I mean, politics were already a mess, but throw a pandemic in it, and
it's just all kind of vagrancies.
And there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know you heard about this. So the hashtag Aaliyah is coming started trending about a week or two ago in regards to talks about her music finally being released to streaming platforms. So according to Rolling Stone, Aaliyah's music is coming to streaming and her estate is not happy. It goes on to say that since the early 2000s, only Aaliyah's first album, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, has been available on streaming platforms because the right to distribute that record has been held by major record companies under contract with Aaliyah's record label, Black Round Records. They really shady.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that first album, virtually the entire remainder of her catalog, including many never released tracks, have been inexplicably withheld from the public by Black Round Records. Now, let me tell you something. Her Uncle Hank is a mess.
Okay.
He's the one who's been he holds the rights to her masters, and he's the one who's held her music. And I remember reading an article, not even recently, like a few years ago, about how there's an entire generation who doesn't even know who Aaliyah is, simply on the fact that her music wasn't streaming or wasn't available to stream. It's not accessible. You have to like download it off YouTube, or unless you had the physical discs yourselves, and then
or if you're like me and you were on LimeWire, FrostWire, all those things,
those years,
you still have the Aaliyah tracks on the Apple Music.
I have them. Like I found a source where I could use them, but it just sucks that as a whole, a lot of people didn't have access to them. And so and Aaliyah to me is an icon. Like she was up there with Brandy and Monica. She was running with those girls during that era, and her life was cut short. I think ultimately the fans just wanted the music. This whole battle between Black Round Records and her estate and all of that, like none of us care about all of that. We just wanted the music. And unfortunately, I think it's kind of tarnished her legacy.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm excited that it's coming out. But like I said, I've been listening to it because
Right. Yeah, no, I've had my access. Like, I mean, I listen to my albums. I put my albums over onto, what you call it? When you put them into your Apple Music
library.
Yeah, they're in my library.
They're in your cloud.
Yeah. So between now through October, they'll be releasing one by one little projects, and it's not just from
Which
Aaliyah.
I think is really smart. That's some good marketing.
Because really it's like, oh, here's the next release, so it
builds anticipation.
She trends for a few months, and not just that, but there's music from like Timbaland and Magoo that's never been released. Tony Braxton has some projects that's going to be released. JoJo's original projects are going to be released through this. But mind you, JoJo tweeted about it, and she wanted everyone to know that she gets no type of profits from this release. She gets profits from her re-recordings of her first two albums, because Black Round held her music in like limbo for so long. She receives no royalties from those recordings. Her negotiations out of that contract basically meant that with her re-recording her album. So
JoJo
if you
so
and I love JoJo,
I love
if you
her.
support JoJo, support her re-recordings. I mean,
Absolutely.
and just like
There's
listen
a
to
lot
the
of
other
artists
ones
that
on
are
the flick.
doing that.
Yeah.
And we know Taylor Swift did that
Mm-hmm.
with a few of the songs because of the situation with her and Bieber's
Brandy
manager.
recently said in an interview that she would love to re-record Full Moon because she said that she, as much as she loves that album, that she recorded that album outside of her range.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So she said if she could do it, she would re-record Full Moon and do it in her range. Which I mean, I'm like, it's not in your range. I thought it
Full
was.
Moon is like, it's not my favorite Brandy album, but it's up there.
It's definitely my favorite album. I mean, it still gets airplay from me. Shout out to 2001.
Never Say Never is mine. So okay, so then Aaliyah, what album are you most excited to come out?
I mean, her last album, the self-titled album,
Yeah.
was really struck a chord with me.
Yeah.
Because I knew her, but I didn't really get into her until that era. Like when We Need a Resolution came out, I was like, yo, this girl is really like, she's really doing, like, I had seen Hot Like Fire, we had seen Try Again. Oh, by the way, the Romeo Must Die soundtrack is coming out with this release as well, because that hasn't been available.
Okay.
But I had already known who Aaliyah was, but it wasn't until that self-titled album and the rollout for that. Like, I remember it vividly when she was on TRL and 106 in Park. Like, that rollout was so big, and
she
I was
gave
like,
somebody an Escalade on 106 in Park.
yeah, like there was just something about that era for her that I was like, I fuck with this girl. Like, I love Aaliyah. I just love what she was doing, and I knew she was gonna be huge. Yeah. And like, I remember her death really, really affecting me.
Yeah, it was a lot of things happened within those years. We lost her, then we lost Left Eye, and then I think 9/11 happened not too soon after that. So
yeah.
It was just a lot of tragedy
Yeah.
happening, and that definitely affected a lot of us younger. I mean, we were young. I was in middle school when
Yeah.
that happened. So yeah, it was deep. But speaking of Aaliyah, I don't know if you heard about the minor controversy with Miss Normani and her song Wild Side. Did you hear the song? They said she used a sample.
Yeah.
It was a sample. Did you hear it?
Yes, of course I've heard it.
Shout out to Normani. I love it.
There was a specific word that was used. It wasn't a sample, but it was a soundbite, a something.
So that
in the same realm.
Okay.
But it wasn't an official sample.
Okay.
And so yeah, people were saying,
it was a sample child. Even Timbaland said, "Oh, that sounds like my beat."
Yeah,
like, and I just think it's really crazy because a lot of these kids, the ones that are coming up listening to Normani, they don't know. As soon as I heard it, I was like, "Oh, okay, I see you with the 100 million soundbite." You know,
the people I follow on Twitter, so that's what everyone said
immediately. But a lot of these kids don't know that; they don't have the access. So I'm just excited to see the range of Aaliyah fans grow. She definitely had a great body of work, and just shout out to Timbaland and Missy because they completely changed her career. We're not even going to talk about that guy that we don't talk about no more.
Right.
But she has some good songs from that era.
This one's for the Aaliyah fans.
Yeah.
Okay, this next flashlight is gross. It's disgusting. Okay, for white A-list celebrities, please stop telling us that you don't bathe.
Thank you.
Stop. Like, it's disgusting. I first heard about this through, I heard years ago that Brad Pitt doesn't like to shower. And that he doesn't like to use soap. And that, yeah. And I was like, oh, that's weird. But then it came to light recently when Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis said that they don't bathe their kids until they see dirt on them. Meaning they let them run around dirty, nasty, musty, who knows what. And then out of nowhere, out the woodwork, came all these other celebrities who say, oh yeah, I don't bathe, or I don't do this, or I don't do that. There's a list. Thank you, BuzzFeed. Here's a list of 12 celebrities with questionable bathing habits.
Okay.
First is Jake Gyllenhaal, who has said in an interview with Vanity Fair, he said that good manners and bad breath get you nowhere. So I do that, but I do also think that there's a whole world of not bathing that is also really helpful for skin maintenance. And we naturally clean ourselves. Oh,
child.
Okay.
How do we not? We're not cats. How do we naturally clean ourselves?
Child.
I don't understand.
Brad Pitt is on this list. Kristen Bell is on this list. She said that she's another one. Her and her husband, Dax Shepard, they wait for the kids to stink before washing them.
So what is it? They're trying to be eco-friendly and save water. Like, is there like some purpose behind it, or are they just like, I'm rich, I can do whatever I want? I don't have to smell good.
I think it's
I was surprised with cocoa.
It's a white thing. I mean, if we're gonna, because there is no one of color on this list. None. Everyone is pasty.
Do you think black people and brown people just want to admit it? If they did?
No, I think this is a trend that. I mean, I'm not being PC right here, but I think this is just a thing white people do. Taylor Swift said that she doesn't wash her legs in the shower. Zac Efron allegedly doesn't care for showering. Charlize Theron, Johnny Depp.
Why is this even a conversation?
Yeah.
Like, what are these interviewers not?
Julia Roberts. Girl,
they don't have anything else to ask them, or I'm just trying to figure out how.
I don't know.
It's a thing. So now,
I don't see the point of them even coming out the woodwork to admit this. For what? What are you What are you telling us? What are you telling us?
It's hard times. I think maybe because of COVID, people are just trying to be, different, retro.
Like,
I don't know. There's like that whole armpit hair thing trend that was happening, or still is happening with like super woke people.
Yeah,
it's just not for me. But I mean, go off if that's what you decide to do. I'm not here for it.
Don't go off next to me.
Right.
That's gross.
Keep your mask on and your deodorants.
Yeah. Anyway, so we bathe.
Yes.
And for the rest of our listeners, audience, I hope you bathed.
All right. So in terms of some celebrities and some things that we kind of aren't able to put a grasp on, so to speak, we had some major news come out of this whole Britney Spears conservatory
Free Britney
situation. So do tell.
Okay. So Britney Spears' dad says he'll step down as conservator when the time is right. And then he went on to slam his ex-wife, Lynn. So according to People magazine, despite reports that Jamie has not yet agreed to step down as conservator of his daughter's estate, he agreed to do it eventually. So to him, it's just not ready. According to the article, it says he was already in talks with her estate to get that to happen. So he's going to transition power to someone else, not completely rid her of conservatorship, but that he was ready to be done with it because he didn't want the negativity between him and his daughter. I think that's bullshit.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't like the bad press anymore.
That's probably
But I think he's an abusive control monster, and that's where I
Well, for those of you who haven't been following the Britney Spears story, because typically I wouldn't care about what Britney Spears do because that's kind of out of
Don't come for Britney.
Sorry, was never a fan. She had like 2 songs that I liked though.
Britney's an icon.
She had like 2 songs. But I think it's really important for us to be paying attention to this topic because when it comes to people who reach a certain level of celebrity, and iconic status, so to speak, they usually 9 times out of 10, you see something where they have some sort of mental breakdown, or some sort of mental issue. We've seen it with Michael Jackson. We've seen it with Whitney. We've seen it with Chris Brown. We've seen it with Britney. It's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
And just to see how it's being handled. And then you had brought up a good point when we discussed it in regards to her being a woman. And had she been a man,
you would never see a conservatorship or even the talk of a conservatorship happen to a man who has lost his mind. I mean, take for instance, look at Shia LaBeouf and the multiple mental breakdowns that he had. You could easily put them, you can mirror them.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone considered, we're going to put a conservative? No, they wouldn't. But this goes back to medieval times and different queens and princesses when their power was used against them because society and the men around them deemed them as mentally unstable. And so then they took ownership of their wealth and they're governing over their people. And so this is a historic thing. Yeah. This is just, society just loves to ruin women's lives, basically.
Not funny. But no, I think I hate to see it. I hate to hear about it. I think that if she is mentally unstable, then there should be someone to help, at least monitor, maybe not control her every step and every movement. Because some of the things that she was complaining about was actually pretty grotesque. Yeah. But in regards to, let's be honest, the girl was going crazy. She shaved her head off.
She was going through things. She
was going through some stuff. Let me not say crazy. Let me be a little more sensitive to mental illnesses. So please don't kill me, you guys. But it is something that a lot of people suffer with, especially in this industry. And I think that's why it's important for us to have these conversations. Yeah. And then the conversation and the topic for tonight is really important too, because there's so many we just get bombarded with so much information and so much knowledge about people's lives and what other people are doing. And, you know, we're so engulfed with celebrity, you know, and being famous. And I think that really weighs not only on us, but on them too, you know, and think about these celebrities. They have no privacy. They can't do anything. They can't go anywhere without being, you know, I've heard rumors that Beyonce likes to secretly go to Target, you know, out there
she
in the
pops
valley.
up. She pops up. That's what they say. I don't know. I haven't seen her. I'm in the valley. I ain't seen her yet.
They say Beyonce love her some Target, you know, but of course she has a swarm of security around her. So I mean, I empathize definitely for people in that position. I think we need to be a little bit more sensitive to what it is that they go through.
Well, shout out to Brittany. I hope, you know, I wish all the best to her. And I mean, this is a perfect segue to our spotlight of the week.
Be careful what you wish for.
Hey, so this week's spotlight of the week is our imposter syndrome. We have a couple guests. One who's been here a couple times. He's my friend. I can't get rid of him, but I love him so much. It's my boy Al Venus. How you doing?
What's up, y'all?
Hey, Al Venus.
How are you guys?
And then
like he never left.
Okay. And then we also have the lovely, the beautiful, the talented, a very good friend of mine. She and I have been friends for like 15, 16 years. I don't even know. It's Miss Madam Chanel Renee.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
We're amazing.
We're amazing. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad to have y'all here. I think we're going to have a really good discussion about imposter syndrome and what that is, what that looks like for us. So let's get into it. By definition, imposter syndrome is a psychological phenomenon in which the core belief that you are an inadequate, incompetent, and a failure, despite evidence that indicates you're skilled and successful. Imposter syndrome makes people feel like an intellectual fraud, rendering them unable to internalize, let alone celebrate their achievements. Studies have shown that this lack of self-belief is correlated with anxiety, low confidence, and self-sabotage. That comes to us from Inc.com.
All of that just really hurt my feelings.
Listen,
all of those words.
All of those words. And
like,
you know
ouch.
what? They stung because they're real. Because I know I've been there.
Yeah.
I've definitely been there. When you work in creative industries, I mean, tell me, do you agree or not? Like, is that something that has shown up for you at any point in your career? You know, let's talk about it. What does that look like for you? Or how do you define imposter syndrome?
Well, we talked about it before. I kind of alluded to it, to the fact that, you know, when moving to LA, for those of you that are not from LA, or when you do move to other places, big cities that have a lot of lights and glitz and glam, sometimes that imposter syndrome might hit you because where you came from, you were probably a big fish in a small pond. And then you come to a place like Hollywood or Atlanta or New York, and they're swarming with big fish. And it's a huge pond. And then now we're in sensory overload where we can see what everybody's doing all the time. And of course, nobody really posts anything that's bad that's happening in their lives, right?
I don't.
So everybody's living the good life. Everybody's getting these great jobs. LinkedIn is infamous for making you feel like you ain't shit because you ain't get a job at Netflix or BuzzFeed or something, right? So there's just this constant sensory overload and this constant bombardment of information and looking into other people's lives. That's all we do is scroll and look into other people's lives. So for me, you know, I don't have the typical success story. You know, I'm still building my success, but I don't have the story where
both of us are, girl.
I don't have the story where I was told I'm not going to be nothing. You know, I legit, everybody around me told me, oh, you going to be this, you going to be that, you going to buy us houses and cars and all this other stuff. So I just knew, okay, let me go do it. And, you know, and then I get here and everybody's trying to do it. You know, everybody, there's this host over here is hosting. She's really pretty. And this person is doing this. And oh, they have this. And this person has this connection. You know, so it weighed on me, you know, when I first got here. It definitely weighed me down. And I'm like, wait a minute. I thought everybody said I was the shit. What happened? You know, and that really gets to your head, you know. So, I mean, that's my story. But it's definitely a thing.
Yeah, I definitely got to chime in on that. Because, like, I myself come from a city where I pretty much dominated it. In a sense where anything I wanted to do, I made sure I just went for it. And I helped to create an industry that was not originally there, which is in fashion and modeling. So I created a modeling community. I produced a lot of fashion shows. I worked with a celebrity photographer where we were flying in all these amazing celebrities from all over the world to come into our little town just to do photo shoots with us. So we were pretty popping, you know. And then coming to LA, I had this mentality that I'm just going to reproduce what I did back at home here in LA. So I personally have experienced imposter syndrome, mostly because of my anxiety started hitting in, and then depression hit in. And for me, it was more so I started doubting myself. It wasn't like I was looking at everybody else and seeing what they were doing. It was more so like I was doubting my own skill set and doubting who I was and thinking that I wasn't good enough or I can't really accomplish the things that I really wanted to. So that's the things that really started like really getting to me. I also decided like this was an interesting topic because I did put a post out on my TikTok page talking about imposter syndrome, mostly within the fashion and modeling and creative communities. Like Josh mentioned before, like with creatives, we all like get to the point where we feel like we're just not doing our best. We have anxiety, we're not going to make it, or we doubt our own skill set. We don't celebrate ourselves at all. We're just moving on to the next topic, the next thing, you know, we're just trying to do all of that. And that's really devastating to ourselves. And it caused a lot of anxiety because we're trying to stay relevant. We're trying to stay on. We're trying to do so much. And it just gives us anxiety at the end of the day. So I did a TikTok post exposing this whole idea behind imposter syndrome that people didn't really realize. And it got a lot of headway because people started saying, hey, I feel that way too. So this is a topic that a lot of people don't really know what it is. But once you start explaining it and talking about it, they start understanding it. And then it's something that we can all like help ourselves with. Like, how do we get over imposter syndrome?
Well, when did this term even become like, I feel like I just started hearing it like last year.
I was going to throw a question out in a second, but I feel like feels like it's so closely tied to social media.
For sure.
Because of a comparison thing. Alminas.
So you get these posts, right? And by the way, I just want to start off. I unfortunately am not a creative. Okay.
Yes, you are.
Look how we all looking at me. Yes, you are.
Okay.
Right.
Whatever.
All right. I'm a creative in a different light, but not the way I see you guys. You guys are amazing. But what I will say, look, that's imposter syndrome right there.
Perfect example.
Exactly. Imposter syndrome.
Right. Okay. So getting into social media and how it just reinforces behavior. People only want to post the good. They never want to post the bad. And I actually recently did a brief experiment on Facebook for myself where I was completely vulnerable and I was going through some things and posting some things. I wasn't getting the likes. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. And it's like, wow, where's everybody? And I really do think that it has to do with people only wanting to see good. Popular. What is going to make
they want to see the turn
better,
up, the filters,
and that is
the good lighting.
That is Alvina's. No filters, but I will try. I will add a few. No, but you know, when I think about imposter syndrome, I just think about all the things that I've overcome and all the self-sabotaging that I did in the process. And I did a lot. I've done a lot. And I've doubted myself so much, and to get to where I am now, the baseline level of success that I'm very humble to say that I have. That self-sabotaging, I just wonder what would have happened if I didn't do it in my 20s.
Ooh, talk about the 20s.
The 20s. And how we depend on other people's opinions, our family's opinion. I hear
absolutely.
A lot of you guys coming from these towns and cities and communities where you guys shine, and then coming to a big place where everybody's shining. It's like you don't have that reinforcement anymore.
Exactly. Right.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you hit it right on the nail because that is so true. And I mean, I can say that, you know, the way I look at mental health now in my 30s wasn't even something that was even on my radar in my 20s, you know, and that is cultural. Because, you know, one thing, like, you know, Black and Spanish people, we don't talk about mental health, or we didn't when we were growing up. Absolutely not. And then if you grow up Christian, oh yeah,
Wow.
you got to pray it away.
Go
You
to
pray your stress away and your
church.
anxiety. We don't do mental health. We don't seek therapists. I remember the first time I told my mom that I had a therapist, which was not too long ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, she was like, why? And I was like, why not? Like, my insurance covers it. I think it's good, to speak to someone.
Right.
It's just mental health. If you have access to it, by all means, utilize it. And she was
Right.
like, yeah, but we're Christians. We don't do that. And that's a mentality, not just in my family. I mean, across a lot of homes, especially Black and brown homes. And so you have to look at that and wonder, how has that affected you as an adult, and where the imposter syndrome comes in. Because for me, that's how it showed up for me.
Right.
Therapy is great, and I wish that my mother and my father and my grandmother would have done it, because the way that they were raised wouldn't have been passed down to me. And this imposter syndrome that takes root in us when it's time for us to thrive, that 20 age, it manifests, and it's like it metastasizes actually for certain people who are not just as aware as of themselves as they would like to be.
Yeah, and then when you saying that just lit up light bulbs, because think about it. I mean, I know particularly me and my family, and being Black, there was a lot of pressure for us to excel academically, a lot of pressure for us to excel athletically, and then if you don't meet these markers, you're made to feel less than. And even though if it's a subconscious thing, you know what I mean? And it's just something that's constantly berated within our community. And then at the same token, no, it's not talked about. And I even particularly feel more sorry for men. Women, we get called emotional. We can be emotional. We can show that emotion, and it's shrugged off. But at the same token, we do it. We're allowed to be seen in an emotional state, whereas men are not. And so we just have this perpetual cycle of people not taking care of their mental health and not knowing that their mental health is even a thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's really good that you brought up that point.
Yeah. Having to live up to that pressure, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And again, it's a cultural thing. And I think that we see that in both Black and Latinx families.
Yeah.
In Latinx families, we call it machismo, where you have to be the man, you have to be strong. You can't, what I'm saying? You can't be weak. You can't be seen. That, to me, that is so destructive.
Yeah.
To have that type of pressure and to think that you can't feel, that you can't show emotion, that you can't share with people.
Yeah.
It's an awful way to grow up.
Well, and getting into that, in Black families, we're taught not to say no. You can't say no to your parents. That's not an option. And imagine how that manifests or metastasizes, again, I use that word, in your interpersonal relationships as you mature.
Yeah.
Imagine not feeling like I have to be a yes man. I have to show up. I have to be a part of everything. And it really takes root in the way that our upbringing is, and the self-confidence that we instill in our kids. Really, it's really there.
And stretching yourself too thin.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think a lot of what imposter syndrome does is have you, like you said, saying yes to a lot of things that you probably shouldn't say yes to. And especially in this industry, in as creatives, I've gotten some phone calls to do some jobs, and sometimes I might end up saying yes when I'm like, dang, I really don't want to. This is gonna look good on my resume, and this is gonna look good for this, and but it's like, but it's not really a good look in totality. So there's a lot of that happens, especially in this career. There's just a lot of some fraudulent. we talked about scammers and frauds on the last show, but I said to you, JPK, I was like, well, what's funny is I think the imposter syndrome is the root of the imposters. That there has to be the syndrome before they can be, defined as the person. And a lot of the scammers that we come across, particularly in the creative arts and entertainment industries, I think there's imposter syndrome deeply embedded within their psyche, which causes them to go to the extremes of scamming other people.
That's very interesting to mention. It's almost like it's an oxymoron in a way. But also with imposter syndrome, you feel like the scammer. You feel like it, even if you're not.
Exactly.
Like you feel like I am the one who's scamming people. I'm the one who's not good enough. I'm the one who, it's all these self-doubts, like you were mentioning before, like self-doubts and negativity. And, it's really destructive. But I just kind of want to put like my own personal things, like So I do a lot of different things in the creative world. I do graphic design. I do social media management. I also have a organization where I help models and people who are creative, like really find themselves in different ways. And I coach. So it's a lot of different things. And I found myself feeling like I'm scamming people because I thought there's no way people really believe that I have the insight to create this. I currently work for Nick Cannon. So I do all of his social media. I do his social media, and I'm just about to be real personal and very honest with you guys. This has nothing to do with Nick or my job. This is all about myself and how I feel sometimes. And Nick know this too, because he'll ask me to do a project and I will automatically self-doubt myself. Like, I can't do this. There's no way I can handle that. And I'll start doubting and I'll tell him I'm not good enough for this. But it's like, why? He wouldn't put me in a position to hire me to do a job that he knew I couldn't do. But I automatically sit back and like, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. There's no way. He's not going to like this. This is going to be horrible. Blah. I'm just doubt. Like, why am I feeling like an imposter in this position that I'm in?
Isn't it strange that when you get blessed, I'll just say that. I think we all kind of have a general overview of what a blessing is, or an opportunity. We initially go to, I can't do this.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't feel like I can.
Or we think something's going to be taken away from us.
Yes.
Like, this isn't good. Like, this is going to be strict for me. You know, what is that?
It's rooted in shame. Honestly, it's rooted in shame. And that's my personal opinion in that. And shame, actually, there's a shame researcher, Brene Brown, shout out to her. She changed my life.
Love Brene.
Catapulted me in the direction that I'm in. I hope I get to work with her. But she says, there's a lot of our behavior is shaped by shame, and not just not adding up. I can just hear me being yelled at and these opportunities that I'm present, because I get opportunities every day. It seems like I'm on this great place in my life right now. And I just hear my grandmother, my family saying, don't fuck it up. You can't do this. Don't do this. Don't speak too loud. Don't be outgoing. Don't outshine the person who gave you the opportunity. And I have a tendency to just be me, and I'm not trying to do or be anybody other than me.
Right.
And it's, I guess, being who we are can be intimidating. And it's big. It's big. We're big. We fill up rooms.
I love that you said that, because I'm thinking about both of your experiences and what you're saying in regards to feeling belittled internally. For me, it's the opposite, kind of. It's the opposite in a way that, like, I can say, oh, I know I'm the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I can do this. I know I can do this job. I'm good at this. You know. But then at the same token, I feel bad for thinking that about myself. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm
just this guilt.
Yes, I have this guilt for thinking that. I have this, okay, let me tone it down a little bit, maybe.
So then you dumb yourself down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just remember being a little girl, and, you know, I just keep it all the way 100. I was light skinned, long hair. I could dance. I could sing. And, oh, Shariq, you think you are that? You know, you guys remember that. Oh, you think you are that. That was the thing back then.
And a bag of chips.
And a bag of chips. Okay. And so I just, we learned to not be boastful. We learned to not let our shine. We learned to dumb it down. And I think even to this day, if you look on my Instagram, I don't post that much. You know, like, I really don't. And I realize,
seem like you're trying to do
like, the fact that that's still in my head, you know, 30 some years later, you know, that that's still something that goes, and I have to coach myself out of that thinking. Like, you know, I'll look at a picture and I'm like, wait, I'm doing too much in this picture. Like, oh, I'm posing, I'm doing a little too much, you know, because I still think
give them too much.
I still think about
give them too much. You know where I learned to give them too much from?
Where?
Chanel.
Well, see, so Josh knows me. He know me. But I had the opposite of what you have. So this is a very dynamic, strange thing for me because I am overly confident, like to the point where I'm like, I don't give a damn if you don't like it. I am fierce. I'm amazing. And I'm about to do this shit.
Okay.
But the strange thing is when I started getting anxiety, that's where that imposter syndrome came in. It was started sneaking in my mind. Like, no, girl, you are not the shit. They are going to hate this. You are like, and then I started feeling like how you feel, Sharik. Like I need to dumb myself down because clearly it's just a strange talk in your head. You know, it's this, this conversation you have within yourself. Like, okay, wait, shit. And that didn't happen until I moved to LA.
See?
You know, there are so many, you guys are saying so much about just this internal self-talk and stuff. And there's a therapy called ACT therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy. And it's really related and tied to, I can't say meditation. I can't say that you're not supposed to pair the two. But if I had to sum it up just for the audience, it's meditation, therapy in the moment of feeling anxiety, in the moment of when that self-talk comes in, and it deters you from being present.
Yeah.
And it anchors you in the moment. And that therapy is I think it's so important right now with imposter syndrome, with depression, with anxiety. It needs to be like advertised a little bit more, and it's
Absolutely.
not. It's not.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So I want to switch it up a little bit, and I want to read something to you, and I want you to listen to this because these are common phrases that we hear. I lucked out. That was a fluke. I was in the right place at the right time. Did you know those are examples of imposter syndrome? Thinking that you got lucky because, you know, you achieved something or was granted access to something or whatever. So according to Inc.com, these thoughts signal a fear that they won't be able to repeat the success in the future and speaks to a deep-seated belief that your achievement has nothing to do with your actual ability.
That's good.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
We hear stuff like, oh, I was in the right place at the right time, so I got it.
Well,
and I know I've felt like that sometimes.
My mama never allowed me to use the word luck.
Oh, yeah.
No, we weren't.
God did
if
all.
God-
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. In the
Okay.
luck had nothing to do with it.
The Holy Spirit.
Yes.
That's a sin.
I told my mom I flipped a coin to make a decision the other day. She said, "Ooh, no, that you need to pray."
I did that too, girl. I always flip coins. Then I consult with the Lord. You know.
Yeah, you know, the universe.
It's okay.
You know, I definitely believe in manifestations, and I believe in the law of attraction for sure. And whether that's in a form of prayer or whatever it may be. I personally don't use those types of terms because I know that everything is intentional. Intentionality is all throughout our universe. But I guess I can see it in that way. People don't like the same thing. People don't want their shine to truly shine.
And to rely on the quote, right place, right time to be like, that was like you're downplaying yourself. Like, no, you got whatever the circumstances were, you have abilities, you've utilized them. You know, there is no right place, right time. It was a matter of you were the one. You know, you have the ability.
We do see that a lot in the entertainment industry, though, because I follow Oprah a lot, and Oprah has even said, you know, she just was she seized the moment, is what she would say. She seized the moment because she was at the right place at the right time. And there's a lot of that. You know, Mary J. Blige got discovered singing in a booth, you know, where there was a cassette tape. You know, a lot of people got discovered. There's not so much of that today because of social media and people are constantly trying to be famous. But, you know, you have to be prepared.
Wait,
at the end of the time.
I want to mention something which is really strange. Why is it that the people who are actually really talented and have the skill set have the imposter syndrome? Whilst the people who actually don't have the talent, who don't have the same like work ethic, in a sense,
or drive,
they completely don't have the imposter syndrome, and they think the world of themselves, and they think so much bigger, and they're more of the dumb fool that everyone loves, like, but they are so confident. So it's like, why is it like, what's this dynamic, and why is it like that? That's what I'm confused about.
I think that's rooted in not giving a fuck what other people have to say.
But is that the key?
I don't know.
Is that the key to success?
Well, mostly because I don't give a fuck what people have to say, but I have an internal dialogue sometimes that feels like you're not good enough.
Imagine not having that internal dialogue, not giving a fuck, being fierce, and then putting yourself in the position to get those opportunities. I think that it's not just one thing. It's a collaborative, a combination of actions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the mindset. Like, it's really like being committed to your goals, really putting yourself in that position, saying, listen, I know I got this fear of reading out loud. Okay, that's my fear. Reading out loud without being rehearsed. Okay, that's what. But I know I have a lot. I know I want to impact the world, and I'm going to have to speak publicly one day.
Right.
Yeah.
So you gotta get over.
So I got to
your
get
own
over
anxiety.
exactly.
Yeah.
I have to do the work.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing that you brought that up, because I think that about so many people, even in our circle. Like, we have so many dope people that I think should have like a gazillion followers, or and they're just all
Or their businesses should blow up,
organic, and they're just some true bosses in every shape and fashion. But for some reason, they are not getting on. For some reason, there's this block.
They're
This
self-sabotaging.
They could be self-sabotaging, possibly, or it could be the industry around them is just a sabotaging type of industry. Or I don't like to think that people hate on people, but I think that does happen in certain instances too, where people don't want your light to shine, and they know you can be so great, but I don't want you to be greater than me. And I think that inflicts imposter syndrome in people as well, because when that person doesn't get the opportunity that is destined for them right away, or something is taken from them, then they start looking on the inside and saying, well, why does this keep happening to me?
I can't tell you how many times in school I left pissed off because I gave a presentation, and in practicum they have this thing where you give these presentations and then it's open to feedback, and people that hated me. I just know they didn't speak to me on campus or anything. They just tore apart my presentation. And I left, and I would go home and call my boyfriend and almost cry. And
I've seen him cry. He's an ugly crier.
Oh.
Shut up. It's terrible. Thank you. It's terrible though. It's really terrible. And then I go back and I don't know. I think that I'm a little different, because I take that, and maybe, I don't know, Beyonce kind of gets mad. She wants people to make her angry. At least she said it in one of those YouTube things that I have saved, or Insta stories that I have saved. When people make her mad, it fuels her. When people give her criticism, she takes it in for what it is, I think, too. I think we all should just do that, and like just take it in and be like, you know what? Okay, I'll think about it, but your opinion may not even matter, because I think I did a perfect job.
Yeah.
I did a perfect job. And I mean, the teacher gave me an A, so
there you go.
But that's who's opinion.
Did you internalize people's opinions about what you did, and you just kept that internal, and then you started feeling like you're not as great?
Actually, every week I went to class ready for that person.
Okay.
Get ready to call out her name. Sorry, ladies. Not okay. But I went to class ready, and it made me better. It made me work harder. It made my programs actually get noticed. It made me get noticed at school.
That's good. But see, I have a bit of the opposite, and I see a lot of the opposite. I see a lot of gaslighters. I know people that are really great at what they do, and they get a lot of gassers around them. People that are telling them that they're great, pumping them up. You're so this, you're so great. Fluffers, right? But then at the end of the day, they don't present the opportunity, or they don't do what they said they were going to do in order to help the opportunity manifest. So I get that a lot. So, and it's for me, it's more difficult, because I'm like, well, shit. At least if you didn't like me, I know it. But you keep telling me I'm dope. You keep telling me I'm this and I'm that, and then nothing comes from it. You keep saying, I'm going to help you. I want to help you. I want to do this for you. I want to, but then you don't do anything for me. So that, that's a tricky one, because I'm like, well, they didn't say they didn't like what I did. They didn't say they didn't like my project. They said it was great. But
it basically eats at your own subconscious, and it makes you have anxiety.
Because it's like, why didn't they come through when they said they were going to do it?
And then think about social media. What do we all get? Likes. We get likes.
Yes.
I hate the fact that you have to follow someone
Mm.
in order to be a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that concept of
Yeah.
just
I've
pay attention
started
to the words,
I've
yeah.
started removing my likes now that they have that option. They let you remove the like count, and I've done it for all of my posts for weeks now. And I feel like it's just
It take that pressure.
it really does take that, because I'm like, oh my gosh, are people looking at me because I didn't get enough likes on this one post? Well, now I don't care, and it really definitely alleviated that minimal pressure to think like, oh, I hope this post does good. Like, I don't even care anymore. I just kind of post and curate as I want to go, and I'm not worried about that number anymore because it's not there. It's not visible.
But now the number doesn't even matter because they done switched up the algorithm to where now people have to share your stuff in order for it to be impactful.
And I don't even care about none of that. Like,
the impact, just getting a like is not enough on Instagram. It will not open up your network.
That is crazy to me that attention is attention is very reinforcing. Okay, you guys, every time I'm on any platform, you're probably going to hear me say reinforcing and punishing in almost anything that I say. And for attention to be that powerful, that is, I really feel for people. I just really feel for them and their self-esteem and just overall just mental health, because we cannot go around not suppressing ourselves, suppressing our talents because other people are not validating us.
Exactly. You just said in words. I really do believe social media is creating a new generation of imposter syndrome people.
It's going to be called something else eventually.
Because it's like social media is like you said, reinforcing this intention. So if you don't get this attention, then you feel internally like you're not good enough. Like, is something wrong with you? Why is my friend getting all these likes and I'm not getting these likes? We have better, like the same type of content. It's like you start feeling like you're an imposter within your own industry.
Have y'all ever met somebody who's like really popping on the gram and then you meet them in person and you're like,
all the time?
Good, nasty.
What?
Like, why?
Trashy.
Like, really?
Couch hopping.
No, and it's not even like that. It really boggles my mind.
No.
Y'all know I do a lot of music videos, right? I do a lot of music videos.
Mm-hmm.
I've had encounters with some Instagram famous models and so on and so forth. One, they don't look like that at all in person. At all. Like, I literally had to look them up. Like, who are you? They don't look like that. They done put all kind of filters and tans and smoothers and everything else on their faces, and they are popping. I don't want to say no names, but yes, I've met plenty of those people. Or people who, you know, they do the skits and they're ultra funny, you know, on the gram, but that same
outside of that, they don't have a personality.
Yeah,
they won't even say hello to
Interesting.
somebody.
Yeah, it really boggles my mind sometimes. And so I'm like, are we living in an alternate universe? Like, what is this?
Before we wrap, I wanna point out one more thing, and this is another way that imposter syndrome can show up for anybody. But I know this is how it often shows up for me, is using minimizing language. So stuff like saying like, I'm pretty sure, or I kind of think, or I'm just checking in. Words like might, just, and kind of, they're all minimizing. And so when you use that language often, and I know I listen, I definitely do this because I feel like I don't know, I'm softening the blow somehow or whatever, or not trying to be as grandeur. It does lessen your confidence, and it does lessen the impact on how you deliver messages, or, you know, or yourself in general. And I think it's really unique how, you know, there are so many different levels of imposter syndrome. And so for me, that's something that I've been trying to pay attention to and to look at, you know, to be firm in the things that I say, and to speak about myself with conviction versus minimizing myself, because I've definitely done that, you know.
I love that.
It's just it's so easy for us to not even, for that to go over your head and not even think about it. You know, imposter syndrome shows up in so many ways.
So I definitely agree with you on that. But one thing that I have pretty much like taught myself to do is speak with confidence. So even like when you're texting someone, don't say, hey, I'm just doing this or just doing that. That just word is such a minimizing statement. It's almost like you are second guessing yourself in your own text message. So I've learned very early on to be extremely direct. But that's the problem here in Hollywood and LA. People don't like when you're direct. They feel like you're being mean, or they feel like you're
especially as
you're
women.
trying to like tell them what to do, and they get into their own personal feelings.
Yeah.
So I guess in a way you gotta like be a little bit softer, but that's just kind of playing against your own self-confidence
Right.
level.
I think there's ways to like to throw it in that doesn't minimize you as a person. Like if you're talking about yourself and like the things that you do, you don't, I'm just a graphic designer. I think in that instance, that's when you're minimizing yourself. Whereas like in casual conversation, I'm just cooking, like, okay, no big deal, right?
Mostly because you don't feel confident in that particular thing you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have my time. I think we talked about it before. One of the other seasons I call people slashes. Like me and you are slashes. We're all slashes.
Yeah.
I'm a host / producer / I have a lot of slashes.
As a creative, we're all slashes.
Yeah. And I was
behind our title.
I was made at one point to think that, master of something or master of none, you know what I mean? And I was made to believe that I need to just own one of them. You know what I mean?
I was taught that too.
So I think that's important that we own it. I do all these
so
things.
then you feel like you're kind of impostering in all the other things you do, because it's like I do so many things. There's no way that I'm actually good enough in all of these things because I'm a master of none,
Right.
I'm a jack of all trades, but now master of none. So it's like you feel like your own imposter of your hosting or this or that, whatever else you do.
Yeah. And when I hear you guys talk, what I hear is we're humble. You need to be humble.
See?
Or not humble.
Well, I think it's a fine line with being humble and then knowing you the shit.
Right.
Yeah. Because I've had to unlearn some humility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Humility has not served me. It did not serve me. And
I
unlearned humility because the church taught me to be humble, and that did not serve me.
Right. And it's not I need to kind of probably practice that a little bit and unlearn some humility because I'm the shit.
Okay.
We all are. We all
I
are.
actually had a really good friend tell me to stop being so humble because I've worked at my position for 3 years and I'm just now posting on social media my job because I felt like I need to be humbled about it. I need to be quiet. Don't tell people. Don't brag. Don't do this.
Right.
Don't seem like you're being boastful.
But look at every successful person.
Yeah.
Did they get there because of humility?
No.
Did Kanye get to where?
Not at all, honey.
Okay. So it's just you have to. The proof is in the pudding.
Right.
Humility is not going to get you there. Now, being a kind person could, is that follows you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being kind definitely does.
Definitely.
And being empathetic, but humility doesn't necessarily get you the success that you need.
That I think.
But
I can't say nothing else.
No, you can say something.
I just really quick. That arrogance that comes with being cocky, you have to know that you have to maintain your
there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
There's a way. Delivery is everything.
Because some people get it and then they lose themselves. And
I
know some people.
Like, it all comes from source.
You can still be confident and not diminish other folks. That's ultimately what it boils down to. Yeah.
That's a good place to cut off. I mean, we can talk about this all day, but thank you so much to everybody who's tuned in on Good News Radio, to Limelight Live. And thank you to our guests. Really quickly, where can they find you, Miss Chanel Alvinus?
I'm at Mr_behave, spelled with 2 E's, on Instagram, and Alvinus Hillis on LinkedIn.
Shout out to the LinkedIn. Chanel.
I am Chanel Renee. I'll spell it for you. That's CHANELLERENEE across all social platforms.
All right, brand consistency.
Damn, you already know.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, this is Limelight Live. We come to you every Thursday, and I just want to leave this conversation with saying, own your shit, you the shit, and keep being the shit.
And talk about it.
Talk
about it with your love. You'd be surprised at just how much people can relate.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, shout out to you, Jay Pinkett. This was a wonderful conversation. And follow us, Limelight Live, on all social platforms. Get that brand consistency out there.
You already know. Next week we've got another dope topic. Ooh, let me tell y'all something. They're not ready.
Y'all might be, but we'll see y'all next time. Thank
all right.
you.
Love y'all. I'm so hot. I am sweating.
oh.